are back for a brand new hour.
Yes, indeed. Trust me on this. It is only about to get better. Now, if that is possible, yeah, I mean, hey, we did so good the first 1 hour.
Yes, now the reality of being the best there is out there, it means you constantly have to raise the bar for yourself and motivate yourself to get better.
Yes, indeed. But we are more than enough for the task. And of course, you remain the most important ingredient in this whole grand scheme of things. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate that fact. You are watching Wake Up Nigeria.
Yes, now speaking of ingredients, we always have something cooking in our kitchen. Our chefs are amazing like that. We got the fire breather breathing some good hot fire in the kitchen.
Unfortunately, I'm not literally the heat, but yeah. We're cooking something.
It's all good, Natita. We see all the plantain in there again. We're expecting
the king of plantain.
I know, right?
Yes.
Okay, now this morning, Chef Nathaniel has been very busy with, of course, MM, and we are likely going to be tasting something fantastic as usual.
Yes.
Alrighty, now.
Time is always of the essence when we are having a good time, and you know that this is the Republic of good times.
Oh, yes, indeed. So much to get through in just 45 minutes. Now, we know we can't count on you to stick around all the way up until it's the end of the show. My name is Mazino Appeal.
And I am Tokwe Olowoniyo. Now, remember, you can stream this show live at tvcentertainment.tv. And on Facebook, yes, just go search for us at TVC Connect.
Send in your comments. Use the hashtag Wake Up Nigeria on TVC, please. Know that you can always find the shows on YouTube as well. If you missed on anything, just go back and you'll find everything that we had done from today, yesterday, and even from before.
Yes.
It sounds like kick.
Which one? Ish, bash.
Yes. So there's Fruity Loops is what's inside my head now. I hear that thing. You can punch somebody really and get the.
Your age is showing when you talk about Fruity Loops.
They still use Fruity Loops now.
Hey, but anybody that says Fruity Loops, yeah, old. She doesn't even know Fruity Loops.
You don't know Fruity Loops? Okay,
I know the lollipop Fruity
Anyhow,
Loops.
all right, real quick, yeah. I just wanted to touch on this, the fact that Madonna, real quick, Madonna is under some fire, under flag for posting a picture of her toy boy, is what I call him.
Her boyfriend.
Whatever. How many years in between them?
Like 40?
35, 38, 35.
Is it 35?
Yeah.
You were going to say?
The sugar mommy
I
goes.
just want to quickly say that it actually, I mean, those comments reeks of sexism, if you ask me, to be honest. I mean, there are so many older men who are dating younger women and they don't get flocked for it.
Exactly, but when a younger woman finds a younger man, an older woman finds a younger man that she wants, is now a problem.
All I know, please, if the guy is done, just AliExpress her back to Nigeria. I don't mind. Is it not Madonna again? I'm in trouble now at home, by the way. In any case, that is one fact that you should know. Here's another one. Back, second hour. Let's do the news. My name is Mazino Appeal. Now we begin from Benue State, where the last few days have been quite horrific for the people. Yesterday, the police have good news, however, to tell, as that is of the release of 2 students of the Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi, who were abducted by unknown gunmen. Now, they were part of the 3 students kidnapped last Saturday while they were studying in a lecture theatre. The head information protocol and public relations of the university, Rosemary Wako, also confirmed the release and gave the names of the students as Israel Farenkwachi and Solomon Salihu. She added that they were released on Tuesday, but she declined to say if any ransom was paid, as it was gathered that the abductors had demanded for 20 million naira. Now, Nigeria cannot afford a war, and elites in the country should speak the truth against forces of division in order to preserve the unity of the country. Not my words. Now, those are the words of Vice President Yemi Osibajo during a meeting with all Progressive Congress leaders from the Southeast, particularly chieftains and members from Anambra State. According to the Vice President, the political elite must speak up and avert a war. If not, everyone, including the future of the country, would be endangered. Now, in his words, we cannot afford a war in this country. It is the political elites that will determine what will take place. If we keep quiet, if we say nothing and hope that things will just normalize, we may be wrong, and we may find ourselves heading for something much worse than we are seeing today. Continuing, Professor Osibajo cautioned that should a war begin, everyone who thinks that they have some money stored up somewhere will eventually run out. Everyone who thinks that they can go and hide somewhere, well, you don't know even if you'd find a place. In the end, everyone will suffer. Parents, children, young people, old people will suffer. Now, the Speaker of the Nigeria's House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has inaugurated a 40-man special security committee. Now, he said the task before the committee is to carry out a comprehensive study of the nation's security architecture and formulate ways of achieving improved security. The Speaker said the climax of the panel's assignment is a 4-day security summit in May that will bring together security chiefs and other security experts.
To begin to look into ways on how to address and tackle the situation where we find ourselves. And it is in the context of these prevailing realities that the House of Representatives has appointed this special committee to undertake a comprehensive study of the issues and challenges of our national security from the perspective of the legislature. And at the end of it, recommend innovative, practical solutions that can help to relieve.
And that's it for the news this second hour. Let's do another round of Sports with Mike. And with that, we welcome you to our book review segment here. Now, for the book chat, we are spotlighting Treasure in Your Trash, a book by the pain doctor himself, Tosin Imohieme. Now, the book is a guide to making the most of life's mess because broken crayons can still color. The pain doctor is an emotional intelligence expert, an author, and a therapist. And guess what else? He's also right here. Good to have you here, Tosin, man.
Yeah, thank you. It's my privilege and pleasure to be on show with you.
You are no new person to media. You've been on very different platforms, writing a book. This is not your first book as well. I do remember the last one. No, I can't.
Pain is a gift.
Yeah, Pain is a gift, exactly. Thank you for reminding me. And it's good to have this book again here. And I'm going to tell you something about what I thought when I read it. But first off, I'm going to go right to the back and tell you that you spared no detail in letting us know exactly all the places that you've been. I mean, it's all over the page on there, but very interesting. Now, as a guide to life itself, it's a very interesting book, and the format of the book where you talked about, well, you started by encouraging people and then went on into the details of how you can actually make mess into treasure. Let me put it that way. But first off, the inspiration for the book, exactly where did it come from?
Well, I think I have a story which it was the inspiration behind my first book, Pain is a Gift. I went through pain myself. And I often say that when pain struck me, I died to who I was to give birth to who I'm still becoming. So at some point in my life during the days when I was still trying to make a meaning out of my life, I heard that phrase, from someone, there's still treasure in your trash. And then, it struck me, and I was going to write an article on it. I actually did, but I saw it becoming more than just an article. And eventually I told myself I'm going to write this book, and this is actually the first book I wrote. Oh, really? Yeah, it's the first book, but at the time I didn't have finances to publish it. So I just kept writing. And that's an encouragement too, that sometimes you have some obstacles, but I kept writing, and then I wrote Pain is a Gift. But when I opened this gift and I had money, I had to just weigh both. And I said, Pain is a Gift is better. It contains my story. Yeah. And now this book is out.
Okay. I'm going to read an excerpt from your chapter 4 here, the life lesson to that chapter there. It says, need I say more? Gale said it all in his epitaph, as Napoleon Hill would often say, failure cannot cope with persistence.
Yes.
In other words, amidst his innumerable failures, Gale knew that there was still treasure in his trash.
Yeah.
That's why Swami said, great work requires great and persistent effort for a long time. I want to talk about that exact thing, that nuance to most of our suffering and surmounting most of our suffering, persistence. How important is it for one to persevere when it comes to struggles?
There's an American president who said nothing is as important as persistence. Not your education, nothing in life is this, because irrespective of what you have, sometimes you have to show that you really want that thing that you desire, that dream or that goal. So sometimes life often tests us. So sometimes the door will be slammed at your face, but if you persist, you'd eventually get that thing that that keeps resisting. But for example, look at water is the softest element in the world, and water always triumphs over the rock.
Carves mountains.
Why? It's persistence. You know, imagine someone coming to knock at your door in the morning, maybe someone you don't even know, knock it, and then you're telling him, get out, but he keeps knocking. At some point, you'd have to go,
okay, come on, tell me what
exactly do you want?
Yeah,
That's the power of persistence. The world always makes way for people who are persistent. Even if it's not something not something that is even good for you. If you're persistent, you eventually get it. So,
but there's then again the factor of trauma, which you also wrote about. When you get these doors slammed in your face, sometimes it just breaks you down, especially it keeps happening, get it slammed over and over and over. To the traumatized person, how can this book help?
Now, you see, this book, first and foremost, if there's a saying that if you want to know how the road or how the journey is, you ask those who are just coming back. They will tell you how the road is ahead. Now, trauma is not something new to the world. A lot of people have been traumatic, even the biblical heroes that we used to have at the time. For example, Elijah. Elijah prayed, and fire came down from heaven and it burnt the prophets of Baal. But what happened? He had the power to tell God, or he had the power to command fire down on earth. But afterwards, Jezebel threatened him, and what did he do? He ran away, and he was telling God, I want to take my life. Now, if he had the power to bring down fire from heaven, then who is Jezebel? So the challenge is, it's not actually our circumstances that breaks us, it's our mind. There's something called mind imprisonment. That's the point where your mind overwhelms you. The greatest asset given to mankind is the mind. Unfortunately, it's so robust, it's so magnificent that sometimes we fall short of being able to manage it. So when we go through trauma, we often feel that, we're now trash and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. But the truth is, we have something called comeback power.
Yeah.
If you, for example, get injured, you see that by nature, your wound starts to heal itself. Whether you take medicine or not, that's just your nature. So when we go through challenges, for example, you lose a loved one, you see that, of course, you get traumatized. But after a while, you see that you start healing.
Oh,
the challenge...
This was only just 2 weeks ago.
The challenge is, while you can see your body and see that it's healing itself, you can't see your soul.
Yeah.
So you can't really decipher that, whether I'm healing or not. But we often heal with time. It's erroneous. We often say time heals our wound, but it's not time. It's the power within us. So we have the challenge with the world is this, that we're often told more about our limitations as opposed to our potential. And sincerely, when I tell people that the phrase "you're fearfully and wonderful made," people do not know the weight of that statement.
Wow, interesting. Now you talked about challenge, and you also talked about death. In your book, there was one part of it that actually scared me. Your last chapter, challenging yourself, and then you said, "Be prepared to die."
Yeah, of course.
Like, when you calm down. Exactly, why did you? What exactly are you trying to say?
Now, I got my inspiration from Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, I thought you got it from 300.
Well, 300 had his own part, but I got it from Nelson Mandela. At the time, then Nelson Mandela, he was prepared to die, and he told the judge, he looked the judge when he was sentenced to, court, he told the judge that if need be, this is a cause I'm willing to die for. So if you're willing to give up your life for that thing you really desire, trust me, life will serve it to you on the golden platter. So the thing is, sometimes we want this thing, but like I said earlier, life wants to know how much we want it.
We want it.
So if you're willing to put in your very best, I often say that, you see, some people succeed because they're destined to, but most people succeed because they're determined to. So once you put you're determined, you're resolute about, you're dogged that this is what you want and there's no going back, you eventually get, and there are times that, for example, there are often challenges that you go through. There was a time Bob Marley was shot. He was attacked when he was supposed to have a concert. Okay. And then he ended up showing up at the concert days after. Yeah. Now people were surprised, like, your life was threatened. It was, of course, an attack. So why would you still go ahead with it? And it made a profound statement. He said, the people who are trying to make this world miserable, the people who are trying to stop me, they're not taking a day off.
Yeah, exactly.
So why should I?
Well, hey, listen, this is a very interesting book, and I think that everybody out there should read it. Treasure to Trash. Treasure in Your Trash. a guide to making the most of life's
Life
mess.
mess.
Very interesting read, very simple read, easy to read, let me put it that way. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Always a pleasure to see or hear you on all the different media platforms that you've been on. All right, tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there, do stay tuned. We still have plenty more. And, of course, we'll be giving you details on exactly how you can send messages even across to our guests here. We'll be back. It's Still Wake Up Nigeria.
Thank you for staying with us. Now our guest this Thursday, our last celebrity guest this Thursday is Paul Utomi. He's achieved quite a lot in a relatively short time in the Nigerian movie industry.
Yes, now he is also a voiceover artist with several radio jingles and radio dramas to his name. We want to know what the future is looking like for Paul in Nollywood, directing, filmmaking, everything together. Good to have you here, Paul.
It's good to be here.
You
Thank
are
you.
welcome. You know, while we're introducing you, it's actually been quite a show. There's quite a lot. You moved in leaps and bounds. I remember a few times when we used to go for auditions and we used to, you know, not so long and all of that. But there's been now you produce, you direct, not just only acting and all.
Yeah.
Is that a natural progression for anybody who wants to move in any movie industry, from acting to directing
yes
and filmmaking
no.
and all that?
For some people, yes. For some people, it's not what they want to do, so they go in another direction. So, yeah. For me, I've always wanted to tell stories, entertain people, leave lasting impressions on people, and so it was natural for me to move in that
How
direction.
far back in life
Yeah.
did you want to be a filmmaker?
Unconsciously, probably since the very beginning, when we were kids and we were watching Indiana Jones and James Bond, and I think the first time I toyed with the idea of being an actor was probably in the late 90s, early noughts.
Okay.
There's this scene in Gone in 60 Seconds
Okay.
where Nicolas Cage pulls out in a Shelby, if I'm not mistaken, and he's backing up into the road, and there's a 12-year-old boy in another car who's seen this guy do some crazy shit with that car, and Cage looks at him for like the briefest of seconds, and to me it was just pure magic. Editing-wise, and
Yeah.
I just always wanted to recreate stuff like that, stuff that kids and people watching at home would look at and go, whoa.
Yeah. That's
So
all
why do you start in front of the screen?
Because I, on some level, you know how they say people know you better than you know yourself? So I never thought I was going to be an actor, but people kept nudging me in that direction, and eventually I listened, and I'm glad I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go just a quick step back to what I asked you, and you saying the editing-wise. I want to talk about the few scenes you showed me from Country Hard.
Yes.
I have had conversations with people about those scenes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our films are conversation-driven.
Yeah.
And those few scenes were more visually
Yes.
telling. They told the story more from the visuals and
Yeah.
no words.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about why you chose to tell your story that way versus using words.
The truth is, when I went to film school, I studied under Amaka Igwe,
Okay.
and she was the major proponent of show, don't tell.
Fabulous.
So basically, Chrissy Hidero also says the same thing. Whenever you can, show, don't tell.
Now,
So,
tell us about
Yeah.
Nollywood filmmaking and telling. What do you think is the problem that filmmakers, writers have, that they focus more on telling than showing? Is it inadequate knowledge, or they feel that the Nigerian mind is too small for you to show?
no,
What do you think it is?
it's. I don't think it's either of those things.
Okay.
I think there are budget concerns and certain limitations. So
Okay.
the easiest thing to do is to tell people. You cannot want caviar and they give you crayfish eggs. That's not the same
course.
thing. You can't get caviar from crayfish eggs. So the truth is, a lot of them want to show visually. They want to create an incredible mise-en-scene, but they cannot do that because the budget doesn't allow for it. The budget doesn't allow for world building. So the fastest way for them is to tell people, so they have the actors convey the message to the audience.
This trailer has been playing for quite a while now.
Yeah.
This is Ratnik.
Yes, it is.
Do you think, some people said, I've heard some comments about this, that Nollywood punch above their weight or trying to punch above their weight with this movie? What do you think about that?
I don't know, to be honest. I really don't know. I do know that the director-producer, Dimi Jajibola, spent a lot of money and a lot of his resources and time trying to get this movie made. It was a passion project for him.
That's exactly what I wanted to mention. A passion project as opposed to with the market. Do you think this would fly with the local market? You know. Because that's where that's where people feel like, look, if you wanted to do this, not everyone wanted to do this. Did they point, because you mentioned something now, you know, when you're trying to find that balance when you're looking at the budget and then trying to push the story out and all of that. And this is heavily, it's a CGI driven based movie, and then some parts were quite cool, some parts so in that regard, do you think that he tried maybe punch above his weight, and being a passion project, spending so much money, you think he's going to make his money back?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. You hope for the best. What I do know is this. What I do know is this. If you don't give people something, you can never really be sure if they're ready to accept it or not. At the end of the day, a lot of Nigerians watch sci-fi films, watch action-adventure comedies, watch films that are driven heavily by CGI. We watched Avatar.
Yes,
we gave money to watch Avatar. We're going to give money to watch the next Avatar when it comes out. So who's to say that the Nigerian movie audience or movie goers are not sophisticated enough or are not willing? Maybe we need to do a bit more in terms of marketing and presentation. There is probably that challenge. But I think with the right budget and the right kind of marketing strategy.
Let me mention something. I was talking about budget. I remember when Avengers just came out, and then there was this hype about the Ari Alexa, and then the Nigerian filmmaker, I don't mention his name, he goes, yes, we use Ari Alexa to shoot this film. It was the same camera they used to shoot Avengers. I was like, wow. So you saw you're making a reference to that something now. You want to blow our minds.
No.
If I called the movie here.
No, but sorry to cut you. Talking about budget and all, do you think, as a filmmaker, when we see a film like Ratnik and we see a film like Avengers, imagine two of them going side by side in the cinemas. As a Nigerian, we're more inclined to Nigerian films telling Nigerian stories.
Exactly.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What is a Nigerian story?
A story we can relate with.
Exactly.
Something, okay, for instance, I just wanted to mention now, if I wanted to fight you on the street, I won't come with a roundhouse kick. I'll probably wrestle you. With Ogbeni? Yeah, you understand? I'll probably go for, maybe, you don't understand. I won't see you and say, let me try one roundhouse kick and cut off your nose or something. You get what I mean?
You wouldn't come with a roundhouse kick.
Yeah.
But there are one or two individuals out there who might come with a roundhouse kick.
Yeah, but then as a filmmaker, isn't it your responsibility to tell us stories from... Now, we watch American films or international films, and we digest it because it's stories that we know them to be. Sorry, let me land. Okay. We know them to be. And then when we watch some certain Nigerian films, certain filmmakers will feel like, oh, this is too comedic, or this is like it's slapstick, is an insult to our mental space. And then we watch things like Ratnik and we feel like they're too intense. Now, don't you, but those films that are comedic and probably slapstick to them sell more because a lot of Nigerians relate to that. Now, as a filmmaker, my question is, don't you think, apart from it being a passion project, if you're telling Nigerian stories, shouldn't we tell relatable Nigerian stories, even Ratnik, but bring it to a space of Nigerianness, if I can put it that way?
I'm glad you said that. I mean, you said relatable, and you said relatable. The truth is this: there are only 7 types of stories on the planet: aspirational, love, revenge, blah blah blah. 7 types of stories. Star Wars is not, based on what you're saying, relatable to any culture. Neither is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, because Chinese men, I hope I'm not being racist, do not fly. You don't walk on water. So I cannot see how you are telling me you enjoyed that film and a lot of Chinese people paid money to watch that film and they could relate to the scenes where people were walking on trees and walking on water. Come on now. It's fantasy. It's entertainment. It's beautiful. It was well executed. If Ratnik had a slightly better budget and was able to market itself successfully, he may not be having this conversation.
True.
You all love The King of Boys.
Of course we do.
And Living in Bondage. And there was a time before those films where we thought that anything that wasn't comedy would not sell.
True. Before we talk about other people's films, I said I wanted to kind of like go another way. I want to talk about, before we wrap up, I want to talk about your personal life. I mean, during research, we were like, this guy is quite safe, no scandal, no nothing. Is it that you don't have personal life, as in you're not doing anything apart from film? You're not busting any girl's head. No girl is busting your head. Nothing is going on.
Well, you bust my head.
But tell us, how have you managed to keep your personal life safe and out of scandal in this industry?
I think I have a lot of good people, sensible people, people who are wiser than me around me.
Okay.
And when I find myself erring or second guessing my actions, then I look at them and they give me that look of, okay, you know, that kind of thing. Rein it in, check yourself, and you know, be your age or something. And I think I listen.
Before I let you go, as an actor, do you think it is fundamental to have scandals to grow, or you think you could play it safe?
I don't think Anthony Hopkins, Daniel Day-Lewis, Denzel Washington have any scandals that we know of. And I can name a few: Sam Rockwell, Meryl Streep. I don't know. They don't have any.
Bring you home.
Okay, here. I don't know that Joke Silva, Olu Jacobs, Peter Doce. I mean, off the top of my head, I have never heard. I don't know that Tokwe Tedela or, let me see.
Or Paul Utomi.
Or Deswai Utomi have had any significant scandals. I mean, gaffes and mistakes like the one that happened with the picture. But that was not anyone's, these things happen. But scandal, not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We do have breakfast for all this energy that you've given us this morning.
Thank you.
MM and Mazino are waiting for you in the kitchen.
So this way.
Yes.
Just head this way. Just head this
Thank
way.
you.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to our kitchen, Paul. Please have a seat.
Thank you.
I'll pull that out.
All right.
Is this mine?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Please have a seat. Welcome. And this is Chef Nath of Natido Cuisine. And this morning he's made for you crispy plantain with peppered sauce. Great. So we'll just let you get right to it because Tokwe and Mike have really stressed you enough.
Okay.
Yes. And please have a taste quickly.
Okay.
Let us know what you think. Were you expecting breakfast?
This morning?
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Okay, great. All right. So what do you think about the plantain, though?
You know, I like the texture.
Ah, nice.
You know,
Okay.
a lot of interesting flavors. You know, unfortunately, I'm going to have to chop you. I'm joking.
Ah, nicely done.
It tastes really good.
Yeah,
It tastes
nicely,
really good. I
nicely
like it.
done.
I really
done.
like it.
Okay.
I'm probably going to ask you for the recipe after this is
All
done.
right,
Yeah,
great.
it's really done.
Natido,
Yeah.
we'll give him that recipe later on. For now, we have to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Paul,
Thank you
and
very
to
much for
all
coming.
our guests who have been on the show today. You all have been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tokwe and Mike, by the way, for chopping up most of our time. It's okay.
It's all love, guys.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Until tomorrow, it's going to be
Game day! It is not yet.
have a fantastic day, people. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.